Backroom237, back with another review. And this is another one that is a first-time blind watch on Hulu. This is a movie that I had heard of. I didn't quite know what it was about, but I definitely knew of it. I remember ads both on Facebook and YouTube when this was coming out. I knew the cover because I saw it at the store that I go to quite a bit around the time it came out. I'd scroll past it on Hulu. So I definitely had the cover in my mind. I never saw a trailer. I didn't know what it was about. But I was pleasantly surprised by this. I actually really liked this film, and I would really like to get it. It's 2020's The Owners. Now, first off, I do want to start by saying this is a subgenre of a subgenre. I've already done a couple of these recently, where it's a subgenre of the home invasion subgenre. Pretty much home invasion gone wrong. You know, people under the stairs, going all the way back to 92. But Don't Breathe, The Collector, this. Ones where instead of following the inhabitants of the home, having to survive an invasion by an intruder, we follow the intruders who underestimate the inhabitants, break in, and then they have to survive. And I'm becoming very fond of those kind of films, which one thing I could say more so than actual home invasion films is that while home invasion has a couple that do stand out, Inside has a pregnant woman, Hush has a blind woman, there are some that stand out, but a lot of them can be pretty formulaic and very predictable. These, the gone wrong ones, almost everyone I've seen has been pretty different. I mean, people under the stairs, they break in, it's like these crazy S&M couple that kidnaps kids. Booby-trapped house that's kind of like a fun house. Trap doors and shit. The Collector breaks in thinking the family's gone, but there's this killer who already broke in and booby-trapped the house like Home Alone. Then there's Don't Breathe, where they break in and there's this super trained Navy SEAL who's blind. So each one's pretty different. And this one is no exception. We have a group of young friends who want to break into this Victorian mansion of an elderly couple where the husband's a doctor. Supposedly there's a great fortune in his safe. But they find out that the doctor's pretty twisted and they have to find a way to escape. And the doctor does use a lot of... I hate using the term psychological because I sound like all those armchair psychologists wannabes on the internet that get their degrees with cereal box tops. Like, I see comments like, he uses like, inside the mind of a psychological manipulator. Or he just knows how to toy with people. And another thing about this movie is I don't really get the hate for it. Not really hate, but like if you go on YouTube and you look up reviews, a lot of them are kind of to really negative. And especially when and everyone's entitled to their opinion, but talking about other movies of 2020, and people put like Host and stuff like that, be like, we had all these great movies like Host. I don't even remember what came out in 2020. But then this is not that good. This is better than Host. This is better than quite a few films from 2020. Maybe I just like the subgenre, but I thought it was well acted, well shot. And I don't care what anyone says, no one saw this twist coming. And another thing I want to square away is people are saying that this is like a UK version of Don't Breathe. It's pretty much a ripoff of Don't Breathe. False. Because it's nothing like Don't Breathe. Totally different kinds of villains. Different kind of everything. And this is based on a French graphic novel, which the The French title is Une Nuit de Pleine Lune. I probably butchered that. English translation is A Full Moon Night, which came out in 2011, 5 years before Don't Breathe. So, not at all a ripoff of Don't Breathe. And that's not a subjective thing either, because literally the book came out before Don't Breathe. It was directed by Julius Berg and written by Matthew Gompel, Julius Berg, and Jeff Cox, based on the graphic novel Full Moon Night by Herman and Eves H. Stars Maisie Williams, who I think everyone would know as Arya Stark, Game of Thrones, Sylvester McCoy, Rita Tushenham, Jake Curran, Ian Kenny, and Andrew Ellis. And that's pretty much our whole cast. I wanted to see. Sorry, my nose is running. We've had harsh rains, then sun, and it's making the pollen unreal. I wanted to see if she's who I was thinking of. Nope. I thought she kind of looked like one of the evil aunts from James and the Giant Peach. Also, Margot Robbie's aunt in Wolf of Wall Street. But no, she was in Dr. Zhivago. Under the Skin. Last Night in Soho. That's where I remembered her from. But anyway, so yeah. We have these three friends. We have Nathan, Gaz, and Terry. Nathan's kind of the leader, or they call him boss, but he doesn't quite have the cojones to really do what it takes. He's the one, he's played by, I think, Ian Kenny. Yeah. Jake Curran plays Gaz, who is the psychopath of the group. And Andrew Ellis plays Terry, who's kind of the overweight dumbass. Kind of just there. Maisie Williams is Mary, who is Nathan's girlfriend. And Nathan pretty much wants to rob this old couple because he heard about the great fortune. And he's tired of coming from a poor family and wants to make something of himself. They decide this house because Terry's mother's the cleaning lady for the elderly couple. But when they break in, they realize that the safe is a dial safe instead of electronic, so they can't use their equipment. So they decide that when the old couple comes home, they're going to scare the shit out of them, hopefully get the code out of them, get the loot, and leave. But things don't go that way. And pretty much the first act is them kind of holding them hostage, because it doesn't take long before they come home, and Maisie Williams, Arya Stark, she's kind of roped into it because I think they have her car and she's supposed to be at work and they're taking too long, so they talk her into coming in, and then they throw her a pantyhose to put on her head. And what really makes, well, one of the best parts about the film, other than I really like the cinematography, I love the music, I love the setting. It's this excellent Victorian mansion. I guess it was abandoned, this Victorian mansion in Kent, near London, is the elderly couple, Sylvester McCoy and Rita Tushenham, which I think she has some form of dementia or something. Sylvester McCoy is this doctor, and I mean, they're very sophisticated. And Sylvester McCoy always, like, he's just like, it's all right, darling. And their acting is amazing. They're great. They're totally sympathetic in the beginning, and then there's just this turn where they're just this crazy elderly couple, and I thought it was well done. And the way they go about things is very different than Don't Breathe. It's not like if they get a hold of you, like Stephen Lang, then you're screwed. At first, they're held hostage, and Gaz is really trying to get the ball rolling. trying to use the wife as leverage to get him to give the code, like threaten to cut her throat or threaten to cut her finger. He even holds a gun on Nathan to make him cut her finger off to get him to give the combination. And he won't. He absolutely will not give this combination. And eventually there's a scuffle. Gaz goes a bit too far. Arya hits him in the head with a sledgehammer. And the effects, the practical effects are well done. I mean, his eyeballs bulging out. I don't really want to get too far into spoilers, but really, the threat's kind of over because shortly before she hits him in the head with a sledgehammer, there's a scuffle between him and Nathan with a razor blade. Nathan ends up being stabbed. And I like how that scene was shot. It kind of did the whole thing where like a gun goes off and you see the expressions of both people. It's like, which one was shot? Then it slowly reveals it. I thought this was one of the better of those kinds of scenarios. Like, well, which one got stabbed? They're both kind of reacting. But it was Nathan. And I kept wondering where this movie was going because, the doctor is talking to Terry, who's just kind of standing there blubbering because they recognize him even through the pantyhose. They recognize Nathan. They take their pantyhose off. And, like, while Gaz is trying to do the combination because the doctor gives him a bullshit one, I do like the suspense of hearing him being like 19, 91, while the doctor's trying to like get Terry to come do something, but Terry's just kind of sitting there like hitting his head against the wall. It's almost like he is this tortured kind of secret weapon, and the doctor's trying to use that. That's where I thought it was going, but she is. It's when Gaz goes to take the power saw to Rita, to the wife, that Mary Stark goes to hit him with a sledgehammer. Then they all go upstairs. The doctor decides to, treat Nathan's wound as he's bleeding to death. And then Mary starts to realize things aren't quite right. There's something wrong here. And that's where I'll get into spoilers. But, yeah. Don't listen to what anyone says about how this is a ripoff of Don't Breathe, because it's not at all. Different kinds of villains, different kind of setting, a different feel as well. I would say Don't Breathe was more visual and atmospheric than this one was. This one was more kind of performance-driven. But I definitely did see the end twist coming. And the end twist isn't like a Shyamalan twist where it comes out of left field. Which also people say it tries to be like Don't Breathe with its twist. Which Don't Breathe wasn't really a twist. It was just a complete diversion for a third act. This is a final twist. It's not like a Shyamalan one where there's where there's absolutely nothing to support it throughout the film. It just comes out of nowhere. Like, oh, they're actually werewolves from outer space who are already dead. Like, there are subtle clues throughout the film. But from then on, it pretty much is kind of Arya, I'm just going to call her Arya, trying to find a way out of this house. And not that it goes into super lockdown mode, but, all of her resources have kind of been taken from her. And she doesn't want to leave without Terry, which I'll save for spoilers. But, it's her trying to get away from these increasingly more crazy people. And I thought it was really good. I thought it was another good example of the home invasion gone wrong, which is a good subgenre of a subgenre. I'm starting to like those even more than the actual home invasion subgenre. I and not just the twist, but also how it ended. I didn't see coming, but I was very surprised by this film. I was not expecting to enjoy it this much. If I had known it was this kind of home invasion film, I would have checked it out a lot sooner. But I'm gonna get into spoilers. Now, I think when she first, it starts to hint that something's up with the doctor, because like after Gaz is killed, the doctor like picks up his gun, and she's like, "Come on, we got to get Nathan to a hospital," and he's like, "No one's going anywhere," and he kind of walks up, and then he's like, sets it down. Hospital's too far. We have to take him upstairs. Or he pulls the razor blade, but it's a hobby knife, out of his stomach. Nathan tries to like get him to stop, but he keeps like poking at something deep inside of him, looking like he's stabbing him and making the wound worse. But he pulls out the broken up tip of the razor. So it shows all these things that something's off, but he's actually doing something good at the very beginning of this act, at least. And so it's kind of playing with your expectations. But then the doctor makes everyone leave so he can patch Nathan up in private. And his wife just totally berates Mary through the whole film, like, "Filthy girl, take off your shoes." And of course, again, I think she has like dementia or something. She treats Terry like he's the small child that she kind of always remembered him as. His leg got messed up somehow, so she sees the wife giving him a some sort of painkiller injection in his ass cheek. And not only that, and this is like a shot from down at the end of the hallway. So it's shot kind of like the bear suit from The Shining, where he's like laying on the couch like, "Thank you," with his pants pulled down, his ass sticking out. She gives him a shot like, "Big strong boy," and then kisses his ass cheek. And that was kind of where I was like, okay, this is gonna be a weird couple. Like they're messed up somehow. The doctor then feigns a call for an ambulance to help Nathan. Like, okay, yes, yeah. Oh, we really need an ambulance. Oh, you'll be right here? Okay, he looks at Mary, but Mary knows that the phone, the box with the cord, is smashed. Because she tried to call the cops earlier, and Gaz attacked her and kicked the thing and busted the phone. And from then on, it's her believing that something's going on, and the whole performance is very kind of, I don't want to say Stepford Wives, because it's not robotic, but it's... Well, I watched this last night, so I just want to... Oh, and then what further made me think, okay, Terry is messed up, and he's probably tied into this somehow, is he's trying to console her as Nathan's being operated on, and she's scared, puts his arm around her, holds her hand, and then tries to kiss her. And when she, obviously stops him, he freaks out. And he keeps calling her Jane, which is her twin sister that went missing some years ago. And he dated Jane. And there's even a scene where Mary just berates him, like, "You're nothing, you're a loser. Jane didn't disappear, she ran off because of you. You dragged her down. She hated you." And it just totally killing the guy on the inside. This is right after he tried to kiss her. And, at one point they even lock her in the cupboard, which is kind of like this closet, kind of like you carry. And they keep the way the old couple talk to each other just keeps the creep factor up, because they talk like he's like, "Oh yes, darling, we'll put it in the cupboard. That'll teach her a lesson." And then the wife is like, "Oh yes, the cupboard always works." You know, they're so nonchalant but optimistic about everything with this air of sophistication that just makes every time they talk and just their attitude towards everything just more off and unsettling, and I thought it worked really well. Of course, all the doors are locked, all the windows have like cardboard newspapers over them. Oh, I guess it wasn't years ago, it was like months ago that her sister disappeared or ran away. They never really found out. But then they're forced to sit down and have tea. Terry wants to go with everything to be nice because he knows them, but Mary knows something is up. She won't drink her tea, but she knows she's been drugged. And the injection they gave Terry numbs his legs. So they put her in that cupboard. He starts talking to her like she's Jade, and like, she's like, "We have to get out of here together." He's like, "Together? You mean like the way we were?" Like, he's almost completely gone. And we see the old couple having this conversation, which we also find out that they had a daughter named Kate who died some years ago. That was some years ago. Which we know that because in the beginning, before they come home, Gaz is just destroying shit. Why? I don't know. And Terry says, like, "Don't do that to this room. It's Katie. It's their daughter. She died." We do see them having a conversation where, I think it's after they put her in the cupboard, how Ellen, it's the wife's name, is like, "That girl, she must be punished." And he's like, "Is that what you want? Then that's what you'll get, my darling." And so they throw like these smoke bombs in each room. And we do kind of get this showdown in the kitchen where Mary gets the best of Ellen and takes the gas mask off. And kind of a big fight between all of them. Or at least Mary and the two, because Terry's useless out in the hallway. Finally, she is able to, and she even bashes the doctor in the head a few times, ties Ellen to the stove or the fridge. But it's when she takes Ellen's mask and barricades the door does she make the deal for Terry and the van keys so she can leave. He obliges. And this I didn't see coming, because I can't really think of one of these. Well, you could argue that in the Collector, the lead doesn't get away, but the collection fixes that. But she gets Terry in the van. She gets in the van. As the door opens, we see the couple standing there. And as she puts it in drive, about to go, we just see blood on the windshield, and she's been shot. Terry in the back shot her. He sided with the couple. And this is when the doctor comes up to the window and, very coldly and calmly says, he taunts her about how she's going to die, even though we appreciate that you saved us from that psycho. And even though they touched on it slightly when they were having tea about how their daughter Kate died, and there was a number of disappearances of teenage girls, how her sister ran away or disappeared, the twist we get is that the safe is not a safe. Like, it's not just a safe in the wall. It's a whole door that goes into this makeshift bedroom with a red light, and that's where her sister is. And they say that ever since Kate died, they've abducted teen girls, tried to fulfill the role of Kate, but none of them worked out, in his words. except for the most recent one, which was her twin, Jane. And so Terry, as a reward for, stopping Mary and siding with them, is they put him in a wheelchair and put him in the room with her. Because again, they dated, he missed her, even falling in love with Mary in her absence. It's very eerie because you don't quite see her. It kind of zooms in, but the light is so red. She's got like the creepy black pigtails, like a little girl dress, and just like bags under. Like you can tell she's been in there for months. And then the door just shuts. And then the final scene is Terry's mother finishing up another day of cleaning. She goes to say goodbye. But we see Ellen gardening with a couple fingers sticking out of the ground, being Mary's. Which I was surprised she got killed off. That I didn't see her dying happening. I kind of wasn't surprised it was Terry, but I was more so surprised that it happened at all. Definitely did not see a whole room with her sister being held captive in there. Again, that's something people say they could see the twist coming a mile away. Like, as soon as they said Maisie Williams started it, I knew what the twist was. Just trying to say they got it before anyone else did. I doubt anyone knew that this safe in the wall was actually going to be the key to a giant-ass door. And now, and she says, I wish Terry would at least call. I don't know where he is. And the doctor assures her, I'm sure you'll see him again at some point. She drives off, and the camera, great music again. Camera just pans up. We see like the mansion and the garden, and credits. So now they just keep Terry in that room with her. That's kind of his gift, I guess. Because they can't let him go, because he's also a witness. But, I really did like this movie. I did not see that twist coming. I don't care what anyone says. I was surprised they killed Mary. I thought this was an interesting kind of cat and mouse game. Different than The Collector. Different than Don't Breathe. Yes, it is different than Don't Breathe. Different than People Under the Stairs. It was more... Again, I don't want to say psychological, but kind of. It just, the fact it's this very sophisticated, sort of upper class English couple, this doctor, that are just so optimistic and pleasant about everything. Just makes the whole vibe and the whole atmosphere more eerie and more unsettling. Especially to offset just the attitudes of Gaz and Nathan in the beginning. I've never really seen Game of Thrones. I've seen the first episode. I don't care to see it. So I'm not sure. I know Maisie Williams has been praised as Arya Stark, but I thought she did fine in this. I thought all the acting was good, but specifically Sylvester McCoy and Rita... God, I always forget her last name. Tushingham. Those two especially were excellent. I thought, she was very good as just this elderly woman with dementia. But Sylvester McCoy was just this very eerie, creepy, good at being like a very composed, psychotic doctor. Acting was well done. I liked the cinematography, the camera work, how it was shot, the setting. I loved the Victorian mansion. And it just felt like a different kind of cat and mouse kind of game. It felt like a different kind of home invasion gone wrong film. And I was very surprised by it. Again, I don't really get the mixed to very negative reviews. I don't know why movies like Host and other... I'm not saying this is the best of 2020, but it's better than a lot of a lot of others that I've heard people say, this isn't as good as Host and some other ones. And no, it's not like Don't Breathe. It is very different than Don't Breathe. Why? Because they break into a house and there's a psycho already living in there. And it tries to pull this big twist. It tries to pull this big twist. I guess. I mean, Don't Breathe was really a third act kind of diversion. But yeah, I really liked it. Well made. And I went into it with lower expectations. For some reason, I thought it was PG-13. But just kind of, let's check this out. So I was very impressed. I do want to get it for my collection sooner than later because I did enjoy it. But yeah, I guess that's just more. I guess I'm just more into these kinds of movies than other ones that have come out recently. But 2020 The Owners, I guess I like it more than other people. Thank you for watching.